Real talk with Labzy, we speaking the truth. From the streets to the booth, giving voice to the groove. No holding back, every combo's the proof. It's the realest in the game, now we raising the roof. Real talk with Labzy, Labzy, Labzy. Real talk with Labzy, Labzy, Labzy. Real talk with Labzy, Labzy, Labzy. Real talk with Labzy.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm yours truly, the legend himself, Labzy, aka the best motherfucker you ever met in the history of your life, and I can prove it to you even though I shouldn't. The most loyal, the most honest, and the most respected. Now, you're probably thinking, why am I wearing T-Pain shades right now? And the reason for that is because this involves my next guests. They are a rap group. They are a Melbourne local rap group. They are in the scene. And they'll give you like Eminem / Tech Nine vibes, and I've seen them perform, and I really like how they really bounce off each other, especially being on stage, and yeah. So I've always been. So these are actually the first rap group that I've had on this show, and actually no, that's not true. I've had Under Oath as well, but as in two individuals as a rap title together. That's probably the first time. So I'm going to bring them in right now. Just have a conversation. And yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. So yeah, I brought my shades. And gentlemen, thank you for being on here. Ladies and gentlemen, Black Shades and Arrogance. Bro,
Yo,
where's your shades, man? You told me to bring mine.
I just wanted to see if you'd actually do it, but essentially, yeah. We all got our shades on inside.
There you
Cool.
go. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. First of all, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time to be on here to obviously have a chat with me. And now, and again, like as I was saying in the intro, like I've always find it interesting especially when it comes to rap groups, how, the story of how they got together, how they kind of learned to bounce off each other and really, connect with each other as a group. Now, you guys got to take me back. You got to take me back. How did this group come together? Have you always been friends, or have you guys met recently, or speak on that?
Well, we're not friends now, so I don't know what you're talking
Friends. Fucking what?
What?
I'll leave it to you, my man. You can explain it.
So, yeah, Black Shades and Arrogance, we formed around 2017 officially. But this was something that was in the works for a long, long time. Chris and I knew of each other from at least 2012, 2013. We had circles that overlapped, went to a few uni parties that were the same for some of those societies. And yeah, we just kind of knew of each other. I didn't fully know that Chris rapped. I had some mates that knew I wanted to start rapping, start recording stuff. And yeah, nothing ever really got off the ground until one day I'm on this boat party and Chris starts freestyling some stuff to, I think it was Rack City or
Yeah,
something came
something
on.
like that.
I know the song. I'm singing along to the song and I'm looking at his mouth, not rapping the same lyrics that are supposed to be coming out of his mouth. So I was like, wait, you rap, dude? And he goes, yeah, I rap. And I'm like, oh, sick, sick, sick. And I think he's told me that he makes beats and all that kind of thing as well. Didn't think much of it until he friend requests me, or I friend request him on Facebook. This is going back ages ago. And yeah, and then he sees a cover picture of mine with a hip hop duo, Cess Crew, under Strange Music.
Yes,
And if you know, you
of
know.
course.
Either you know Cess Crew or you're like, who the hell are they? And the first thing he says to me after he accepts the friend request is, really makes me so happy to see Cess Crew as your cover photo. And I'm like, holy shit. This is the start of something beautiful. And then look, we bounced the idea of rapping together for a long, long time. We had a lot of lunches. We'd go sit at a cafe, pizza each, and we're like, yeah, you're dope. Yeah, you're dope. We should do this. Yeah, we're gonna do this. Nothing ever happened until one day we thought, you know what? If we just spend some money, it'll maybe be the impetus for us to go, okay, we've now invested. This is tangible. This is real now because we've put our money down on the table. we got to follow through with that. And yeah, I can remember we were sitting back in my house in Keysy. We were just scrolling through all the beats on a beat catalog until we found maybe 3 or 4 that we liked, and we're like, okay, we can really work with these. Let's give it a go. And then we booked in some studio time, and then the rest is history. That one studio session just kind of solidified it for the both of us that yeah, this is something we need to keep doing.
Yeah, I like that. No, that's awesome. So you knew straight away that you guys connected very well, especially being fans of strange music for the most part, also with Cess Crew as
Yeah,
well. Okay,
definitely.
cool. So being in the studio together, like talk to me about like the very first song that you guys made together, right?
Yep.
So because I'll be honest with you, I haven't really invested in your music much
Wow,
yet, but
that's so
yet
touching, my boy.
I said
I'm touched.
yet.
Damn.
That's,
You
I
know
said
what?
yet.
Take this top. Fuck it.
but but no, as I was saying in the intro that in I have seen you guys perform. I was there at Shot Kickers when you guys performed at the concert that you guys had there, and bro, and I was saying in the intro that you guys know how to really bounce off each other, especially obviously with especially when it comes to verses and especially with the energy with both of you that you have now. Is it because again, look, so which raises the question when it comes to you being in the studio, right? Does it do you have your moments where say Chris is not feeling it, but the other one's feeling it, and then vice versa? It's like how do you guys how do you guys find like do you have to find a song that kind of both of you love, or do you kind of find a middle ground when it comes to making like songs or beats or whatever? Because the reason why I'm asking this is because there's always that rap group or rap duo that one's feeling one song, the other one's not feeling it, and but it's like they have no choice but to make it. But it's like one of them's getting the other to trust each other. Does that ever happen between the both of you?
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, because we all have to remember, Mike and I, we're two different people with two different music tastes at the end of the day.
yeah,
And it's more common than not that we're not going to be feeling what the other person's feeling in terms of listening to a beat or listening to an idea and stuff like that. But I think what makes the duo of Black Shades and Arrogance, what makes us special is we respect each other in regards to, like, if Mike was to come to me and say, hey, I've got this beat and I really like it and I really think, and I can see how excited he is about it. And if I listen to it and I'm like I'm an ahhing about it, I'm just not going to turn it down straight away. I say, listen, you know what? Let me think on it a little bit. I'm gonna be honest with you. Just let me think on it a little
mm,
bit, and vice versa. If I say the same thing, Mike might say, oh, I'm not feeling it as of now. But I think what it is you take a couple of days to warm up. You kind of just you think about, like, what you can sort of do with that beat, and you get quite excited about it, and we end up sharing the excitement with the beat. And I find that a lot of the songs that we have done, it starts off like that, like, I'm trying to think for an example. Like, I remember when we found the instrumental for our song "Book Bag." Now, I don't know if you know the song "Book Bag," but it's very upbeat, it's hype, all that kind of stuff. It has a bit of a boom bap thing going on. And I remember I showed it to Mike one time. Like when I found it, I sent it to him and I said, "Hey, I found this song. I think it's going to really hype us up, especially in sets and stuff like that. What do you think?" And I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, Mike's going to like it too, and it's going to be great, and we're gonna make the biggest hit Australia's ever seen.
We're gonna, we're gonna, we're
We're gonna, we're gonna, we're gonna, we're gonna." And Mike wrote back to me straight away, and he was like, "I'm not feeling it as of now." And I just got so deflated. I was like, "Bruh, like that sucks." But I know with that process, it's like, all right, let me just let the man think on it for a little bit and see what we can do. And to be fair, like, once we both committed to the song and we did it and we had an open mind about it, it's probably one of our most popular songs now, and we love performing it. You know what I
mm,
mean? So I think, yeah, it's all about respect. I think at the end of the day, I
yeah.
think it's just respecting each other's, like, ideologies and, like, in terms of the music and what we can
I
bring to the
mean,
table.
I'd go in and say, from a creative aspect, it's good when we have those instrumentals that either one or the other aren't feeling at the initial point of, okay, let's see what we can do on this. We found that we've been able to expand each other's repertoires and our tastes, and just kind of push what we are able to do on songs. Because if it was only me, sorry, I'd probably be choosing the exact same three or four types of beats all the time, and my catalog would be so repetitive. It would all mesh into one. I don't want to be one of those artists where you can maybe take a verse from one song and put it right over on the other verse of another instrumental, and it's exactly the same song. You're doing the exact same flow, it's the exact same tempo. Yeah, none of that. I think our catalog has been able to span so many different genres. We've got a bit of jazz, we've got some boom bap, we've got something that's a bit more trappy. All of these things come from the diversity of his taste, my taste, his musical background, who he's looked up to in artists, and the same on my side. And then we've just let it collide, and that's what Black Shades and Arrogance is. It's a real, yeah, just a clusterfuck of
Yeah.
Yeah.
different things coming together, and it's a beautiful thing. Like, you never know what these things are gonna, what they're going to make and create until you experiment. And that's what music is. It's experimentation. At the end of the day, you can't expect to grow if you're not trying new things, getting out of your comfort zone. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, which I was just going to ask as well. Do you feel that finding the middle ground will give you guys an open mind to experiment with different types of music as well?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. Because again, like I've always said to a lot of artists, especially in the local scene, like you got to experiment. Don't be afraid to be open minded. Yes, it's going to be something that you're not used to, but at the same time, like if you're open minded, if you are a creative, it's like, okay, well let's try something with this. Like, yeah, we're not going to feel it right now, but later on, like if we between both of your minds together, it's like, bro, like it's gonna be something. There's some we can create something, and that's what I like. That's what I like about rap duos that really bounce off each other, and especially when they have that energy, especially when they have the performance as well. Now, how did you come up with the name Black Shades and Arrogance?
Well, um, good question. How did we? Okay, so back in, when we started up back in 2017 or whatever it was, I remember Mike and I had been in the studio a few times, and we had experimented with a few things like songs and just like different beats and flows, and really like the early stages of it all. And
Mm,
then I remember one time we were at my house, and my girlfriend at the time, who's now my lovely wife, was with us as well. And
mm,
all three of us were talking, and we were like, you know what, like if we really want to do this music thing, like we got to come up with like a name. Like, we don't have a name. Like, it can't just be Mike and Odik or Mike and Chris or something, like whatever.
yeah.
Like, we wanted something that was like, that was very different. Like, I don't know, just like you hadn't really heard of anything like that. Like, and it was funny, like Mike, like as he is right now, he was wearing his sunglasses inside, and I remember he was just playing around and like a little freestyling. And then I
Mm,
remember Gabby, who's my wife, she said, you should be called Black Shades. And she's like, Chris, go get your black shades. And then I remember at one stage, all of us were just wearing sunglasses inside, and it was funny, right? And it was kind of cool because when we called ourselves Black Shades, like it just kind of it worked. Like, we had experimented with a few other names, but they didn't feel like they connected to like what we were going for, or I don't know, just something about Black Shades. But then I think as we kept brainstorming, we're like, well, I feel like it needs to be something else. Like, it can't just be Black Shades. Like,
mm,
even knowing that sunglasses are a huge part of our image, and we put the shades on when we go on set and we become different people, sort of thing. We don't want to just be defined to the shades, right? So it was like, well, it should be like black shades and something. And then I remember Mike and I kind of said to each other, like, for people who don't listen to hip hop, who don't usually listen to rap, or who aren't really familiar with that scene, like, what would they see the scene as? Like, what do they see hip hop? And we kind of came up with, like, they probably think it's like arrogant, right? Like, if you think about it, when you look at
mm,
when you look at hip hop for as an outsider that has nothing to do with it or know much about it, they think that hip hop is quite arrogant. It's arrogance, right? And then I remember Mike and I were like, well, you know what? I mean, black shades and arrogance. I'm like, let's try and bring people in from outside and show them that, yeah, we're arrogant on the mic. We're actually good people, believe it or not. But
Yeah.
like, we're arrogant. We're arrogant on the mic with black shades and arrogance. And then I remember at first Mike was like, it was the same thing as what we were talking about before. He was like, oh, I don't know, and I was like, think on it. I'm like, just think on it, trust me. And I think maybe a few days later, I think we kind of met up again. We're like, you know what? It just kind of clicks. It sounds right. And then I think the like the final piece of it was, it's like black shades and arrogance. We were always drawn to the and symbol, which is the ampersand,
Mm.
right? And we were kind of like, if we're going to do black shades and arrogance, it's got to be the ampersand. It's got to be the ampersand. And you know what? It's funny. We're not entirely sure as of
Mm.
why, but I think having that ampersand bring it together. And I don't know. I mean, I don't have our. Oh, yes, I do. I've got our logo just here. I don't know if people ever notice this,
Yes.
but the ampersand sideways on our sunglasses, right?
Yep.
And it just sort of that was just sort of like drew it all together.
Oh,
And to us, it just made sense. And that's when Black Shades and Arrogance was quote unquote born.
yeah. No,
I
I
Yeah.
love
love that.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I love that. So being was okay. Sorry, I'll take it back a little bit because I do want to understand that. Has music always been in both of your lives? Like both of you have been in your lives for the both most part, Mike and Chris?
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
Mike, you first. I feel like I've been talking about.
um, I'm sure if you dig around on our Instagram, you might find a few little clips here and there of me playing the piano while Chris records me and raps himself. And yeah, since primary school, I started with music, learning classically, and then I don't know. I think when you when you're confined to a syllabus, you feel restricted. You're doing whatever the syllabus is instructing you to do, and this is the best way to progress through music. And for me, whenever I would go to lessons and all that kind of thing, I just want to play my own stuff, play the songs that I was listening to on the radio, play what actually made me feel good, or songs that I connected to and made me happy, energetic, or all that kind of thing. So yeah, whilst classically trained, there was always a part of me that wanted to
Mm.
create as well. And I think, look, the musical background in piano has helped immensely. There's been times when we're in the studio and we either need to change a sample or edit something or even just add an element because the beat feels a bit empty or lacking in certain areas. And that classical training, just the basic knowledge. I'm not like a maestro or something like that, but I still have enough knowledge to be able to kind of fiddle around and really just work things out. And like I was saying before, it's all experimentation at the end of the day. And having that basis really helped, yeah, make some really beautiful works in our catalog. So
Is it just piano you know how to
yeah,
learn to play, or is it
I did a bit of saxophone and clarinet in in school.
okay?
So
Did you really?
yeah,
That's not that.
man,
Hang on, that's not that little that
yeah,
flute looking thing
the
that we all had
long
at high
black
school, was it?
one, yeah.
We all okay. Oh god, I freaking hated that shit. I hated that shit. It was ridiculous. Oh
God
god.
damn it.
Yeah, I hated the long black ones in my mouth too. What do you say?
Well, yeah, it's just
Yeah,
yeah.
no, saxophone and clarinet. Honestly, I think it was a really good introduction to using another part of me to create music as well. Because piano is awesome. It's just your fingers. It's your a bit of your body, your forearms, and all that kind of stuff. Like you get a really good forearm workout if you're playing piano with, yeah, passion. But
Yeah.
then pause. Anyway, well, what I will give credit to with my clarinet and saxophone days and playing in some of the school bands and stuff is breath control.
Yeah.
Something that's completely underrated when you want to do rap at the not just caliber, but at the speed that we do it.
Mm.
It's something that cannot be ignored at the end of the day, because you're going to run out of breath. You need to be seasoned to be able to perform at that level, and do a complete set where virtually 80% of our songs are like that. We rarely get a break
Mm.
from doing all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it really, really helped learn how to use my diaphragm, breath control, breathing. I don't know circular breathing yet. That's crazy.
What's circular breathing? What's
Circular
that?
breathing. It's more for instruments where you use your cheek muscles to keep air flowing through the instrument whilst you're taking in a breath
It's
through
like
your
a it's like a
nose.
didgeridoo.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
yeah,
think I
very
think
Okay.
much so.
it is very common for like saxophone players as well.
100%.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
all the greats would know it.
yeah.
All
Even
the
like trumpets, trombones, like
yeah,
anything horn type
yeah,
instruments.
yeah,
Yeah,
the horny ones. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. All right. What?
Anyway, Christopher.
I knew this was going to be a fun interview. I already knew this from the very beginning. But all right, your turn, Chris.
Look, I mean, my story is definitely not as intricate as Mark's, I think. I mean, but in saying that, I grew up in primary school. I learned how to play the keyboard, so it's not piano, but keyboard. And I think it was just something I did once a week, and I think it was to teach me sort of like patience and to stay in beat and stuff like that. Which I think I think when you're a kid, you just want to do everything full bolt sort of thing. So I think it really taught me to be patient, to learn how to listen to music and to read a beat and even read the music and stuff. So that was super really cool. Um, I think I gave up the keyboard though, probably when I passed when I passed primary school. When I passed year six, yes. Uh, and honestly, I never really took it back up. It was just something I never really was like. I liked it, but I wasn't like, oh, I could do this professionally or
Yeah.
try. You know what I mean? And, I tried playing the guitar, things like that, but I think it just wasn't for me. And then I remember just like singing, like just singing along to like the radio or like when I was at my dad's place, like because my dad loves like rock music and all that kind of stuff, and I would sing with him, and I remember dad was just kind of like, oh, you should sing, like and I was like, no, I don't have the voice for it, and I definitely don't have the voice for it, but I remember thinking, well, I love hip hop, I like rap, like maybe I can try rapping out sort of thing and just sort of see what that does, and just bouncing off what Mike was saying, I think the first thing that hit me like a ton of bricks was breath control because, when you don't know the technique or the process, when you're just rapping, like you run out of breath so quick and you're like, like I don't know
Yeah.
how do you do this? Like how do people do this? Let alone how do they perform and do 10, 15, 20 songs in a performance and be able to keep doing it. So I think once I sort of learned a bit more about the genre and the craft and like how to, I was just absolutely hooked on creating. It was not necessarily about um, creating my best work. It was more about just what can I put down on a beat. Can I rhyme it? Can I express myself on it? Can I use my breath? Can everything like that. So, and then I think until I met Mike, that's when I was just playing around sort of thing. But until I met Mike, that's when it was like, okay, I can go into a studio now and I can actually do this on a microphone, like in a booth, like, and it was real and it was super cool. So yeah, we haven't looked back since then, which has been super cool.
Yeah, I like that. And now, so now, Chris, when it comes to you trying to find that breath control, right? Because yeah, I've always realized in music because I come from a line of musicians myself, right? And I've learned that your voice is also an instrument,
Yeah,
which means that you have to find the breathing control with your own body as well, and once you find that, and especially with the types of beats that you do, the type of flows that you do as well, you have to kind of really like try to work with it and then see what works and obviously what doesn't. And yeah, bro, it is very interesting, isn't it? Especially just trying to experiment with your voice and how to obviously with rap, and especially when it comes to chopping as well, because just as
yeah,
you said 80% of your songs are basically chopping. Now,
yeah.
did you guys master the chopping flow? Is it listening to a lot of Tech Nine and Seth's crew? Trying to get getting a lot of points down, or did you guys learn from yourselves? Like, how did that happen? How did that work?
Well, for me, I didn't know I could chop until, yeah, I discovered tech. And I remember there was a time in high school where a bunch of us boys were trying to always find, the new hottest thing. And one of my mates, Vince, God bless him, he'd always bring some of the best rap songs to school on his phone. And he's showing me things like AOTP and Vinny Paz and Immortal Technique and stuff like that. And there was just a time where I was like, man, I really want to bring the next hottest thing to school for our little circle to just go, yo, this is the hottest shit. um, but Tech is so different from Vinny Paz. Vinny Paz really just rides on a beat in a different way to Tech, where he's just kind of steady. You can hear every single word clearly and all that kind of thing. But then Tech comes with the choppiness, and unless you're really focusing, you'll hear the clarity. But if you're not, and you just kind of go, oh wow, you're speaking really fast, then you miss a lot. And look, everyone's taste is different, but I, for some reason, just clicked with it. And for some reason, um, it was either, I think the first song I heard of his, which was Psychology 101, his verse, which was the first verse, luckily, because I had no idea what he was going to sound like. And Psychology 101 actually has three artists on it. It's Tech, Chino XL, and Crooked Eye. Didn't know any of these guys at all. So the second I heard him, I'm like, wow, this guy, this is like nothing I've ever heard before. The second song was Midwest Choppers 2, and I'm like, I need to learn how to do this because we'd heard Busta Rhymes before.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah, of
think
course.
I think it was that same year that he came out with oh well, no, Chris Brown came out with "Look at Me Now," and then he did his thing, and I was like, oh my god, I got to be able to do that, learn how to do that. And I'd already heard "Break Your Neck" on a
Yeah.
on a So Fresh CD. I was like, why is that on here? You couldn't hear anything because it's always bleeping the swear words.
Just
So yeah, it was only until I started learning my favorite songs and wanting to be able to do that and sing along with it, because there's nothing like being able to sing along to your favorite
Of
songs
course.
at that level where every single beat is. I'm pretty sure it's a meme where it's like, oh, when you rap super bass on point, because all the girls were rapping super bass, thinking, oh, look at us, we're Nicki Minaj. Anyway, Nicki Minaj is a good ass though. Yeah, that's
Um,
queen.
that's baby girl right there. But go on.
So yeah, once I was able to master some of my favorite verses, I was like, well, what's stopping me from writing my own verses and being able to do this myself? Because yeah, because I was already into writing verses and stuff like that, but it was at a very basic level. There was no beats. It was more, okay, let's. It was almost like just writing a poem. It was just words on a page. They rhymed. There was nothing actually forcing me to stay within time and on beat and anything like that. And it's a whole different ball game when you actually have to work with a tempo and that kind of thing. So
Okay.
yeah, that's how that came about for me. Was yeah, wanting to be like my heroes, and then I was like, let's be my own
Yeah,
hero.
yeah, I love that.
Mm.
Chris?
you know what, Labzy, I'm resurrecting the sunglasses now because you drew me back in. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, no, I think similar to Mike. So, when I discovered tech, that was the first time that I had actually heard like chopping on the beat, right? I think when you hear like the more mainstream stuff at the time, it was like Eminem and stuff like that on the radio, and it was super funky, super cool. Like, you feel super G'd up when you listen to it, and even if you can get like some of the verses down pat, like you feel like the coolest kid in school. You come to school and you're like, oh, check this out. No, that was super cool. And then I think the first song that I heard from Tech was a song called Trauma, and like I friggin' love that song, and I still do to this day. Like I feel like every year it's in my top
Wait, which one?
100. Trauma.
Trauma.
Trauma. You never heard Trauma?
Oh, what album is it?
I don't even know, to be honest with you. It's a
Good.
cool song. I know I'm a fake fan. No,
You just
but
add songs to his catalog that he doesn't even have, man.
you caught me. Um, that I reckon every year that's always on my top 100 Spotify played. You know what I mean? Like I love that song to death. And then I remember hearing more and more songs, and then yeah, even like Psychology 101, and then and like even like Red Nose and stuff like that. I don't know, something about Red Nose.
Great
I love
song,
that
yeah.
song.
Mm.
I
It's
got
just
my face painted crazy, and a black dude looking like he gonna get that too.
Mm.
Sorry, I had to vibe out there. Anyway, continue on with what were you saying, Maya? This is both of our
Yeah,
instruments.
well, yeah, that's right.
I think just I was extremely intrigued by the chopping. I was extremely intrigued that you can put all these words together, not only just go da 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 da, da, but make it make sense, and then the clarity and the cadence, and you can actually understand what it is. And I remember thinking like, okay, he doesn't do this live. There is no way this guy does it live. So I look up, his performances on YouTube. Sure enough, he does it live, and he does it perfectly. And at the time when Chris Calico was still with Strange, like he was like Tech's hype man on stage, and it was awesome because their chemistry was bouncing off each other, and Chris giving Tech a second to breathe and all that kind of stuff, and vice versa. And I loved it. I just thought it was super cool. And that was basically it. Like to me, like that was just like my favorite form of hip hop was the chopping, just because I thought it was creative. I thought it was different. You don't hear it. You don't hear it on the radio. You don't hear it on the mainstream. Like I think at the time it was like, what is it like? What are the music videos like Rage and stuff?
Yeah,
Like
Yeah,
Rage.
yeah,
Rage video hits
Raquel
and then
Vick,
yeah.
yeah, like you didn't see that on that. So I kind of thought it was special when you could actually find that music and hear it. And lucky enough, when Mike and I formed Black Shades, like I was lucky to find someone else who had the same passion, the same interests in that type of music, whilst exploring the boundaries and pushing the limits in regards to like what we can do and how we can bounce off each other with this music thing. And yeah, it's super cool, awesome.
I love that. And when it comes to writing a verse and you have to chop it, is that one of the challenges of kind of like, trying to get the words and trying to get it to go fast in your mind and you're trying to like what are some challenges of writing lyrics that you have to chop to?
It's a good question. I think, I mean, because it definitely doesn't come extremely like straight away. Obviously, like
Nah, hell no.
it takes so much time. I think it's all about just having that idea in your head first. So when you hear a beat, I think this is just me talking here. So Mike, I'm sure, has a different process when it comes to hearing a beat from the first time. But for me, like when I hear something and I think, oh, I could chop onto this, it's all about just using noises like from a mouth going. And that's sort of my process where I can go, okay, that's fine. And I actually record myself doing that. So there's no words. It's just me, going. And I think when I listen to that back the next day or something like that, I might either dig it or I'll go, actually, no, I should chop it this way. And then I'll record another one going, do, 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 do. And then I think eventually I settle on something and I go, okay, let's put some words onto this. And I think my biggest challenge is definitely just the flow of it is it's definitely the clarity, it's the flow, it's definitely trying to find my breath. I think it's one thing performing. It's one thing recording a song and having to record it in different sections and making sure it all links up. But it's another thing to actually perform it live and do it like that all in one take. And I think that's definitely the plan when you record something. You want to make sure you can do it to the best of your ability, where it's one take or at least like a large section where you can have your breath, all that kind of stuff, instead of just having to do a couple bars, stop, couple bars, stop, couple bars, stop. And I know that's some people's process, but I think me personally, like I take a lot of pride in being able to chop for quite a period of time, so that way when it comes to performing, I'm quite comfortable. And that's why I think when you see Mike, at like our performances, whether it's live or recordings or whatever, because we rehearse and we do everything so much, we rarely make mistakes. You know what I mean? And it takes so much pride in doing that. And I think, it's one thing to, I keep saying it, sorry, but it's one thing to chop, but it's another thing to to do it like almost perfectly.
Mm.
Make sure everyone can hear what you're saying. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think my process is quite similar. Oh, one sec. Just sorry, just needed to top up the waters.
It's all
My
right.
process is very, very similar. Come on, man. My boy was looking parched.
Yeah.
My process is very similar where to really map out what I want to do on a song, I'll have to play the instrument and again just gibberish on the tune whilst it's playing. Just go dabba 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 dabba, and it's all garbage at the end of the day. But either if I'm walking, and most of my ideas come the best when I'm walking or doing some sort of physical activity where I can at least have my mind free to be able to focus on that, but the rest of my body is occupied. So then I don't know what it is. There's just like a disconnect from my body that's taken care of, but then my mind's free to just have the blood pumping. And yeah, the creative spot is just it's a really good zone to be in. I'll suddenly just get either a phrase or a word that will come at the end of the bar
Mhm.
or something like that, and I'll stop and I'll go, okay, let's take that back. Let's expand upon that. Let's have a look at, are there any other rhyme schemes that I can do with that? What are the associated words or ideas that I can blend with that little phrase? And then it's a mix of, okay, what's the story that I want to tell with this next 4 bar phrase, and how can I connect both the rhyming scheme with the ideas that are going to have to end on these punchlines or connecting rhymes and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it'll always start with just me doing absolute garbage, and I think some of the best ideas only happen because of what's come before it, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So there's been
That's a
times where
bar, though.
you know what I'm saying, because I think you can't just expect to have the fresh ideas come straight to you unless you've been doing it for such a long time that you've either got a backlog of really good ideas or you're just constantly thinking, thinking, thinking. And then, because sometimes, like, not everything's going to be perfect on the first go. It rarely ever happens unless you're a prodigy.
Mm.
Uh, and it's probably also one of the reasons that I fear freestyling off the top life, because I know that it's going to be garbage. Um, but then again, you look at some of the greatest battle rappers, I'm sure they've gone through the process of being terrible, having terrible rhymes, having terrible ideas come to them straight away. And once they're just prolific, they're a whole different animal. So yeah, I'll start off like that. And then once I have my ideas down, I'll write it in a note, and then when I'm ready to, I'll sit down and really map it out. But then that's the next challenge, is fitting everything into the verse and into the phrases and the bars and all that kind of thing.
See, it's even just like starting it off as well. Like I find another
100%.
another big challenge
Yeah.
is actually starting the verse off. Like you have all these
Mm.
ideas, but it's like, how do I actually kick it off? How
Yeah.
do I start?
Because you need to punch him in the face
Yeah,
from the
straight
first
away.
line.
Boom.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to connect. Otherwise, the rest of it's not going to captivate him. You can't be grabbing the audience's attention in the last 4 bars. What a waste, you
Yeah.
know? Um,
From the get go, I
yeah,
think
right
it's
from the
extremely
get go,
important.
and that's the whole. That's the biggest fight in general, is knowing how to captivate the audience and hold that attention.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but look,
Wow.
it's
So
so
it's so
fun.
it's a bit of a process then. It's a bit of like
It's
it's a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Unless we were prodigies and we were just making music like nobody's business.
Like what? Like do it again? Like how?
Like um,
I always look Italian now.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah. So
Wow.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, because I've always been curious on like how, you know, even how, like, how the fast rappers do it, like Twister, Busta Rhymes, even Tech as well. I mean, I even look at the Twisted Insane as well. Like
mm,
he's an animal. Like if you
Twisted
there's
is crazy.
bro,
And
Twisted
a lot
Insane
of
is
the other
just
guys,
yeah,
yeah, like C Mob that he raps with, and
yeah.
a few King ISOs in there. I think Brain Sick was probably one of the best, like, just big old collabs where there's at least a good 5 or 6 of them, and they all go through their verses, and you're like, what is happening?
Yeah,
Breaks music is crazy. I love it.
yeah, because
But at the same time,
yeah.
like we were saying, there's one thing to just chop and it make no sense, but you're saying the rhymes and people hear the rhymes, but there's no substance to the verse.
Mm.
And then it's another thing where, and this is why I respect Tex so much, is because despite him having so many intricate rhyme schemes and patterns and cadences and flows, there's still a story being told in every single verse. Every single word that he puts in a line has its purpose. Same with them. Like there's no room for filler words.
Mm. Yeah,
That's just my opinion though.
yeah, of course. No, that's awesome. But even because there's even that oh my god, now it's just disappeared in my head. Um, it was I was talking about there was the debate on there's this big debate on it's about at the end of the day it's the listener.
Yeah.
Like anyone can if when you can rap fast, like it's up to the listener if they're actually listening to what they're hearing, right? Because there's this one of the rappers that I listen to. His name is Zero, and he's part of the. Obviously, he's from Texas, so he's part of the
Mhm.
rap group there. And he used to
Actually,
be a
I
part
think I've
of
heard of him. Yeah.
yeah,
Did he do a Gucci Gang remix?
Gucci Gang. I think so. I think so. I'll do some research and then
I
I'll let you
feel
know on that one.
like I've heard him. He sounds a bit like Eminem, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does know how to rap fast, but his
Yeah.
voice is a little bit lower though.
Yeah.
But he used to be. This is back in probably like the '90s. He used to be a part of a group called the Screwed Up Click. And if you're familiar with DJ Screw, he's the guy that made the like the chopped and screwed music.
Okay.
And what really was inspiring that because Zero would just wanted to be himself. He wanted to just be himself, like not let anyone talk shit. But then DJ Screw turned around and said, "Bro, you're just unique. Don't worry about it." And anyone that tried to talk shit about Zero about how his rap skills were, DJ Screw would just turn around and say, "You guys are just listening too slow."
Mm.
That's what it
Oh,
is.
wow.
That you're just listening. He's not rapping fast. You're just listening too slow. That's got to be like the best bar I've ever heard from him, right? And it is true because a lot of people are listening too slow. They're just thinking that it's da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Like I'll be honest, when I first heard of Twisted Insane, which was Worldwide Choppers, and he was the last verse at the end,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
I couldn't understand anything. Oh, he just kept going. I couldn't catch him. Even if you look at what's it called? What's the other song? Chop Shop, Twisted Insane.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
could not catch him at all. I was trying to catch it, but he just kept going, and like it's just insane. Like I think it takes really good ears to really just understand the chopping of especially with those lyrics. And because if you look at also King ISO is what you mentioned before,
Mm.
Mike, as well, because I've got the song TFB as well as Chop Liver as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's fast, but you'll be able to hear everything, of course. But
Mm.
again, like it's just again, you just gotta really, really listen. And I think with you guys, because I've watched you guys perform live, I could understand everything you guys are saying. So I think you guys have found the way of chopping and actually making it clear. And again, so which raises the question that did that take long for you guys to really try to do it fast but clear at the same time?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I think it's like we spoke about before. Like it's one thing chopping, but then it's another thing actually getting the listeners to understand what it is. And like you said before, maybe we're not spitting fast; they're just listening too slow. I don't know, but
Mm.
I think
There definitely has to be a middle ground
yeah,
Mm,
between rapping fast and having the audience. Like I was saying, you need to captivate the audience. Like some people, again, people are listening to music for different reasons, and they're only maybe grabbing certain aspects at a time. Sometimes they like the music behind the rap. They like hearing, okay, there are words being said, but as we were discussing before, your voice is its own instrument. Maybe you don't have to understand what is being said, but you like the fact that you can hear that person going over the beat, and that's fine. That's up to the listener at the end of the day. Something my dad said is, well, when I first showed him tech and I had that Psychology 101 poster in his room, and he's like, what the is this shit?
Yeah, what? Yeah,
Because he's got that half painted face. He was telling me, because I'd always go around and I'd try and rap it and all that kind of thing and do my own verses, and he'd say, look, it's one thing to just rap fast. Anyone can rap fast, but what is it really worth if it's all mumbled and all that kind of thing,
Mhm.
where no one's actually gonna be able to resonate with the lyrics. And at the end of the day, as artists, we sort of want to be able to bridge that gap between us and the listener, just from the personal aspect of, okay, these are still our real people that are going through real struggles or enjoying life or whatever it is. You still want to make that connection, and I think at the root of it, that's what music is about. So chopping, rapping slow, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever is going to help you connect with your audience the best, do
Yeah.
that.
Chris, do you agree?
Yeah, what he said.
Okay.
Yeah. No, Mike's right. Mike's exactly right. Yeah, it's just engaging the audience at
Mm.
the end of the day. And music, it's an interpretation, it's a dance, I think, and everyone has different loves about music, different ways to listen to music, really.
And I was going to say one last thing. I know I'm hugging the spotlight. Sorry, man.
It makes my job a lot
There
easier.
you
Look,
go.
also, I mean, I don't know if it's the same for you, because one thing that I notice when we're in the studio is Chris comes into the room and he's in the booth and a verse is done in 10 minutes. And I'm like,
Wow.
okay, so not even joking. He's so well rehearsed before we even get there. And I feel like a lot of my creative process happens when I'm in the booth, where I'll start rapping. And because when I rehearse, a lot of it's in my head. And even when I'm saying it, because I'm in a environment where I feel no pressure, my my perception of it is so much clearer than it actually is when I listen to it back.
Mm.
And that's where kicks me in the face and goes, "You're not as good as you think you are right now. You need to put a bit more work into this and really sit with it a bit before you can actually reap the rewards of it." So it's one thing to just rap fast, but in the back of our heads, well, especially my head as well, I know if I'm ever going to perform something, I need to be able to do it every single time. Look at me with the clicks again.
Yeah.
I still need to be able to do it every single time that we step on stage. And if I'm going to, yeah, back myself into a corner where I'm doing really crazy verses that are just so intricate and quick and staccato and all that kind of stuff, if I can't do it on stage, I'm going to look like a fraud. I'm going to,
But I think
yeah.
this is where like two minds are better than one in a sense. Like when we're in the booth, or when say if Mike's in the booth and I'm, with our engineer, like, or our producer, sorry, like, if
Shout out to Steve from
shout out to
Lucky
Steve
Dog.
from Soggy Dog Recording. Um, Mike, I can tell that Mike is probably thinking, oh, like, he keeps stumbling on a line, or he's not getting something out. Like, where I say two minds are better than one, like I might say to him, like, hey, have you ever thought about maybe saying it like this, or just maybe taking out this word or adding this word? And a lot of the time, and vice versa, like I'll be the same. Like there are times where I actually can't get something out as clear as I want. Like Mike might turn to me and say, hey, like, why don't you say this instead? And that way you can drag this out, and it's awesome. And like I think a lot of the time we help each other in that sense, and that's where we become better as a unit in a sense. Like I said, at the start of our talk, like we're two different artists, but I think together, like we can really bounce off each other in regards to like our ideologies with music, and how like our different ideas, and like it turns out to work a lot, which is in our favor, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
definitely.
Because
I
Mike,
think. Oh,
sorry, what were you going to say, Mike?
oh, I was just going to say, sometimes fresh eyes on a verse that's still in its early phases is really good, because I'll get hyper fixated on certain things, and I'll know that certain words might sacrifice the punch line or the meaning behind the bar. But at the end of the day, sometimes certain little tweaks can just make a world of difference with the delivery of a line. So that's where Chris is incredible with my creative process. Like, a lot of my writing I'll do on my own, but it's that final part when we're in the booth and we're actually recording and Chris gives his 2 cents, and I'm like, this is worth $1,000, maybe $1 million, because it really saves some of my verses.
Well, you
Because
better start paying up.
oh, what the hell?
No, that's
Yeah,
fantastic, man. Now, Mike, you do because you were saying that when you're in the booth, you're in the environment where you have some things in your head, but then when you say it out loud, you think you're not as good as you said you were, which you were saying before.
yeah,
Do you believe that's kind of like motivation to keep going?
all the time. What I meant by that was my mind always works at a faster rate than my mouth does.
Same,
Surprisingly, I thought
same.
that was shit, but yeah, when I'm looking at the words that I've written, because I'm reading it and my mind tricks me to believe that that works. That's gonna come out exactly the way you've thought about it when you decide to actually record it, and then that's usually not the case. So I think maybe a bit more, not just rehearsal, but I'll probably need to stand up and just go, okay, this is what I've got. Let me see if I can just wrap this right here on the spot. Otherwise, yeah, I'll keep playing tricks on my mind and I'll think I'm better than I actually am. So it's good. It's humbling in a way. It keeps me grounded to know that, okay, there's still things I can work on. But it also means that, hey, my mind also is trying to take me to places that I didn't think possible. And so, yeah, again, it's balance at the end of the day.
Okay, Chris. So how do you stay motivated?
Well, I want to be better every day, to be honest with you. Like, I think when it comes to this black shades thing, I think, what are you smiling about? What are you talking? I'm being serious. What are you smiling about?
I thought he was going to say, I'm just trying to be better than Mike. And I'm
I'll
like,
be honest, as really weird as that might sound, I thought you were going to say that too.
Well,
I don't know why.
you know what?
100% he should.
You know what though? We have said this in the past.
We both should be saying that.
Well, yeah, like we have said this in the past when people say, "Oh, are you and Mike in competition with each other?" Like, yes and no, believe it or not. Like,
Mm.
yes, in a sense where we're trying. It's almost like we're trying to one up each other with stuff, but no, in a sense where we're going for the same goal,
Mm.
and that's together. You know what I mean? And I think we only want to try and one up each other because we want to push ourselves to be better, and that's where it's almost like a competitiveness
It's
comes
friendly
from.
competition.
It's exactly what it is. But I want to see Mike
Friendly
reach.
fire, but without the teabagging at the end of it.
I know it's
Not
disappointing.
that there's anything wrong with that, by
Ain't
the
nothing
way.
wrong with that. I mean, that's what
No,
we're
no, no. We
supposed
don't
to.
judge. It's 2025. We don't judge.
No, I never thought there was anything
There
wrong
you
with it. Why would you bring that
go.
up?
It's only a problem if somebody makes it a
Yeah.
problem.
Lazzy, it sounded like you're making it a problem.
No.
'Cause.
I got one question for you: Earl Grey or English breakfast?
Yes.
Yes.
My man.
Back to before
Yeah.
you piss
Yeah.
me off. I think you know what. I read something somewhere which actually I remember like very vividly. Is like there's something beautiful about making music because one day when we're not here anymore, your music is still going to be alive and people are still going to be able to listen to it. That motivates me because I know that I'm not an immortal person. I'm going to unfortunately, like everyone else, we're all not going to be here one day, and unfortunately, we don't know when our time is as well. I mean, we could live for another so long, or we could live for very little long. I think for me, my biggest thing is I want to make sure I get all the words out. I want to make sure that I get everything that I need out, and to the best of my ability. I don't want it to just be like a splat on the page and that's it. Like I want to make sure I show the world the best of my ability, what I can do, because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and I know that sounds cliche, but it's quite true. Like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't, no one does. And I just want to make sure that one day when, for some reason, if I can't make music anymore, if I can't rap or if I can't whatever, like, at least I know, okay, well, you know what? I did the best I could, like, I think one of the worst things in life is regret, right? And I just don't want to be at an age where I go, I wish I did this more. Like, I wish we pushed Black Shades more. I wish we did this or we did that. That's why I think, you know, you gotta bet on yourself, and whether it comes, face up and it doesn't work out, at least you gave it a good shot, and I think that's a beautiful thing, right? So that's definitely my motivation, to just try and be the best that I can, and make sure that, like we were saying before, with the competitiveness between Mike and I want to make sure that I really try and push him to be the best that he can be, and I know he's doing the same with me, and I think that's where Black Shades is really going to reach a new high level each time we make a song, or we do a performance, or because I think our biggest thing at the end of the day is we want to show something coming out of Melbourne City that no one's seen before, right? And I think that's why we take a lot of pride in the shades and us chopping and pushing our logo and our image and stuff like that, because we want it to be things that people haven't seen before. So I think that's where we're a little different, and we take a lot of pride in that.
I like it. No, it's good. I like that. And now this is a big question for the both of you.
Oh, another one. Oh.
Yes. So why do you guys do music? Why do you guys do it?
The bitch. No, I'm joking.
But what?
What? Excuse me.
Keep going. What were you going to say?
I just felt like the awkwardness,
Yeah,
the silence was
that's
that
that
nice
awkward
for a
silent bit.
second.
Yeah. And then bam.
Why do we do music? Well, look, I'll let you answer that one first,
Okay.
please.
Why do I do music? Exactly what Chris was saying before with us living on through our music and all that kind of stuff. That's awesome. Um, I want to say it's definitely from my soul. A lot of it. There are some songs that I've recorded and I'll listen back to it and I'll think, man, this maybe I wasn't going through something, or I was maybe at the time of writing, but maybe I was reminiscing for it. But I think there's definitely something within me that craves to just have out there in some form. And as with any art form, it's an expression of yourself. And I think healthy expressions is good for the soul, because if you keep it all bottled up, it's just going to fester. And when it does pop off, and believe me, it does, it might not be in the way that you wanted to, if say, yeah, it goes south. But when I make music, I think there's a piece of me that goes into every single word that I put on a page, and then into the microphone, that I'm like, okay, this is so many different aspects of me that I want the world to see and to be able to experience, even if they haven't actually met me. And I mean, with a lot of people, there's so many things that go on in people's heads that no one, or only a small percentage of people, are actually privy to. And sometimes, yeah, you just need to get these things out. Whether it's just to show off your creativity, whether it's to maybe explain your side of a certain event, anything that's happening in your life. I think we're definitely responsible for documenting our own journeys like that. And yeah, there's definitely a part of me that feels like I belong on stage. I've told Chris this a few times, and I've told a lot of other people, especially when it was after our first performance ever. Shout out to Deets and the Get Down events, who put us on stage back in, that was that 2019 as well.
2019.
2019 for the People's
Wow.
Choice Volume 1. I got off that stage thinking, God damn it, I belong here. But I also remember leading up to that performance thinking, this is I never anticipated having this opportunity, but now I don't know if it's actually for me. And you think of everything that could go wrong. You think of everything that people might say or do whilst you're up there, and yeah, your what's that word? Your imposter syndrome kicks in. But then I don't know, man. The feeling I had when I got off that stage was just incredibly elated. I honestly felt like there was nothing that could pull me down from that feeling. And I get that feeling every single time I step on stage again, whether I have the best set of my life. I've had a set where I was completely bombed, man. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember, what was it, Stay Gold?
Stay gold.
Oh,
Yeah,
Stay
stay
Gold.
gold.
We got stories about that.
Stay gold.
But
Yeah.
again, it's all a learning curve. And look, I do music because I want people to feel the same way I feel when I hear certain songs or perform certain songs, or just the same feeling I'd get when I hear other people's music. There's definitely a connection to be made with the audience, and hopefully I'm making that connection. Sometimes they might not be as close to me as family, friends, or maybe friends of friends, but somewhere out in the world, I have the hope and the belief that there is someone that can benefit from my music in some way, shape, or form. So, yeah.
That's powerful, bro.
Yeah, man.
That's very powerful.
Yeah.
Chris?
Um, you know, just piggybacking off what Mike was saying, I think yeah, I think it's why do I do music? I think from such a young age, when you sing and you rap to yourself, and when no one's around, you're in your own little bubble and you're protected, right? And I think when you start sharing your creativity, you become a bit vulnerable, right? And I remember when we got chosen to do the People's Choice Awards with Deets and the Get Down, and we hadn't met Deets at the time. We only knew him via Instagram and stuff like that. I remember saying to myself, like, what are we doing? Like, is this really what needs to needs to be done? Like, is this our way in? Are we just gonna bomb, and are we gonna get booed off stage like 8 Mile? Like, what are we gonna do? Like, and it was actually quite daunting. And I remember thinking, like, shit, maybe we shouldn't do this. Like, or maybe we're a bit over our head and we need more time. But I remember just seeing how excited Mike was, and I was excited too. And I remember thinking, no, you know what? Like, at the end of the day, if we bomb, we don't see these guys ever again. Who cares, right? And I remember we had so much fun. Like, it was just the build up of rehearsing, being in front of a mirror, like learning where to stand, making sure that we don't crisscross too much, things like that. Like, there was just the things to think about being our very first performance. And I remember when we got there for sound check and we actually saw the stage and we saw the venue and where it was. Like, I remember it became real, and I remember getting up there and to do sound check, and they were saying, right, lay a song down, and we're thinking, oh god, this is it. And then when people were there and we got up on stage, and so many of our peeps were there to support us, and so many people had Black Shades t-shirts, and it was like Mike was saying, just the feeling that we both got afterwards, being so elated and being just so privileged, and the fact that we could actually have that opportunity to be on a stage, and it was a real thing, and so much praise afterwards, and even just meeting so many people that were in the industry that we hadn't even scratched the surface of yet, because we hadn't performed yet. Like, it was super cool. So I think the reason why I do music is because music makes me feel a way where I want, like Mike was saying, like I feel like I'm repeating what Mike was saying, but music makes me feel a way where I want everyone to feel the same way. I want everyone to feel happy. I know mental health is a huge concern. It's a big issue at the moment, and I know what it's like to hurt, and as everyone does, and I know with music, me personally, like, it makes me feel so much better about myself, and it makes me feel like the world's not so small, and then the room isn't so dark, and the walls aren't closed in as much, and if my music can, oh, sorry, I should say, if our music, or if my verse or Mike's verse, if any of our stuff makes people feel better about themselves, then our job's done. You know what I mean? The money and the fame, whatever, if that stuff comes, great. You know what I mean? If we can make a real living off this, that's awesome. And that's a huge bonus. And I think that's definitely a big goal of what we're getting to. But I think a real important thing is if people can feel good about themselves whilst they listen to your music, then you're done. Like, your goal's done. Like, you've done your job. You should be very proud of yourself. And I think that goes out to every artist or every musician or everyone that is showing their vulnerability through their creativity. Do what you got to do. If people resonate and they feel good about themselves, then you've done your job.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like that. No, I like that. And this is also another reason why I do my show as well, because I've interviewed not just rappers or singers. I interview all bunch of creators, because these are the gifts that were given to them, and have the ability to really just give it out to the world. And yeah, they're gonna have doubts. Yeah, they're gonna overthink. Yes, they're gonna, go through a bunch of bumps and boos and stuff like that. But it's how they get back up after that. At
Yeah.
the end of the day,
Oh, for
you know.
sure. Yeah.
Man, that first show that we had that we were talking
Mm,
about in that last question, I think one of the biggest takeaways from that show was also that we had a lot of friends and family in attendance that night. And I think the best feeling for us as well was that we made believers out of a lot of people that knew that we were doing this, but weren't so privy to what experience. Sorry, they weren't really. They hadn't experienced it firsthand yet. We can release as much music as we want at the end of the day on YouTube and Spotify and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, people are going to check it out and maybe listen to it once and go, "Hey, I heard your song. Yeah, you heard our song. Sick.
mm,
What did you get from it?
yeah.
Yeah.
How did it make you feel?
Mm,
Resonate with things in your life right now?" I think one of my favorite songs of all time in our catalog is Apocalypse, because that first verse, I remember when I wrote that verse, I was on something when it all came out, because I think there's so much passion and aggression and desperation in that verse that comes across when I'm talking about our journey, and even in the hook, how we're saying, and this is just paraphrasing the hook, that you only have one life, but at the end of the day, when you're gone, what's going to happen? Who's going to look back on your life and say, okay, this is who they were, this is what they did, this is what they stood for, this is how they made other people feel. There's so much in that song that I think that a lot of people might miss, and I make it a point to perform it every single time we have a gig, because I think that it just comes across like the fact that and here's a little Easter egg. I actually did a few burpees before I recorded the panting at the start of the song, where I'm like,
just
but
just
also
to keep the
because
body going, just keep the body
100%.
activated. Yeah.
But I felt the need to put that little sample in of me sounding out of breath, but then my inner voice saying, "Look, you're almost there. Keep going, because you're gonna hurt. You're gonna be tired. You're gonna be run down when you're on this journey. But it's like you said, it's about keep on going. You can't stop just because you're tired. Do it tired.
Yes.
Keep
Yeah.
going.
Same thing.
It's
It's
the
the
only way."
same thing as when you're losing weight. Like, because
Yeah.
if you're losing weight, bro, if you're tired, you can't be bothered going to the gym. But yeah, you still got to show up all the
Yeah.
time if you want those results.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in the creative world. You got to keep going, doing
Absolutely.
it tired. Even when you're burnt out, just do what you can when you're burnt out, and then obviously take your rest when you need to. But we just got to keep going. That's
Yeah,
it. Keep.
absolutely. And the people that are on this live right now, here's a shameless plug. Look up Black Shades and Arrogance, Apocalypse. I promise you, we'll make believers out of you.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, I'm agreeing.
Or listen to Strangeland. I don't care, man. Have a good
Just
time.
just listen to
Just
anything of ours. I
listen to
don't
anything.
care.
Yeah,
Do whatever
anything.
makes you
Don't
happy.
listen to the illest
The
No,
illest.
I
in
like.
public.
No, no, no. Oh, oh man, but no, that's it is very powerful, Mike. Thank you for sharing that as well, and Chris, thank you for sharing your story as well. Now, I do want to ask this, because again, I'm very big on mental health as well, as you were mentioning before. Uh, how do you guys center yourselves mentally from the music? Do you guys kind of take a break from Black Shades and Arrogance? Like, obviously, Chris, you being married, and you got to focus on that, and then Mike, you got to do your own thing. And does that kind of do you guys have those breaks to kind of center yourselves before coming back as Black Shades and Arrogance?
Look, I think so. I mean, I think we're only human at the end of the day, and we have other things going on in life. I mean, as much as, when you look on Instagram, like we make out like everything is rap, and and that's what we do. And to a point, yeah, we're pretty hyper fixated on wanting to be better than we were yesterday. But it's also important to remember that we have lives. You know what I mean? And we got stuff going on. We also work, and we've got, like you said, like I've got my wife and my dog, and like they're the most important things in my life besides this music thing. Sorry, Mike. So
Sunnies.
Oh God, that's funny.
But hey, it's so important to sort of separate. I mean, it's like that old saying: you separate your work from your life, sort of. You know what I mean. And I think that's also healthy as well, because if you're just constantly in work mode, constant, I don't know, me just personally, I get burnt out. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, big ups to people that can do that, you know what I mean? And that's how they show their process, like, really cool. Me personally, like, I need to separate it. Like, I need time to myself. And even if that means just going for like walks or playing PlayStation or just watching a movie or something, it's something to just be able to shut the brain off. Because, you know, when you create music, any type of music, you are just so like you're using your whole brain. Like you want to make sure you're putting down the best words. You want to make sure you're putting down the best lyrics, like that make the most sense, and you want to make sure they flow cool, and you want it to be the next big thing, right? That's like
Mm,
the goal. But you know, life isn't just like that 100% of the time. It is so important to be able to just find those things that you can relax and just be yourself, and you don't necessarily have to put on a front. And I take so much pride in that. I take so much pride in finding me time, or even just finding time away from Black Shades. And then I know that when we're ready to, you know, write some lyrics, or we're ready to jump into the booth, or even if we're ready to do a sound check and get on stage, like I know that I'm ready 100% and my battery's recharged.
yeah. Okay, Mike.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with that. Plus, I think you'll sort of run yourself into the ground and kind of squeeze out every last piece of energy if you're just trying to hammer away at it all the time. I think being able to disconnect from it and actually do the things that you have going on in your other aspects of your life is truly a blessing, because you get to reboot, you get to actually draw more inspiration from the things around you that you experience in other aspects to be able to bring back to music. I think if you stay in that shell, you're going to exhaust everything that's available to you in that time and in that environment. But if you go out, you watch a movie, you get more ideas. You listen to other artists, and you do need to stay connected in the world as well. I know there are some artists that kind of go monk mode and are just in this little capsule of okay, music, and sometimes I wonder where are they getting their ideas from? Because I'm someone that draws a lot of inspiration from what I see and experience, and sometimes the ideas as well. Sometimes I can't even reference certain things without actually seeing maybe a new TV show. If I see something on Netflix and I'm like, okay, I like what happened there. How can I use that as a metaphor for something later on in my music?
Mm,
That kind of thing. And again, it all comes down to each individual artist's creative process. And for me, I think I'm really good at taking things that I've seen and molding it and presenting it in a new way in my music to be sort of like a metaphor for things that I've experienced or am going through. So yeah, that comes through a lot in my music, I reckon.
I love that. No, that's fantastic, gentlemen. Um, But yeah, I like that. I like how you guys have found a balance between your music and obviously your everyday lives. And I think it is very important because, again, you still, that's how you keep that inspiration going. I think a lot of people misunderstand and really underestimate the power of rest,
Yeah.
because you can even get inspired by something even outside while you're resting. Just Mike, as you said, like you can get it from anywhere. You can get it from even video games. You can get that from putting that in the lyric in
Mm.
some way, or like shows, movies, whatever. You know, you don't have to always be in the studio like 24/7. You know, like even for me, like even I'm always, if I'm outside of me doing my podcast and stuff, like I'm listening to other podcasts and be like, okay, how do I upgrade this from that? And yeah, like
Mm.
it's you get inspiration from anywhere, and all from resting and really just spending time with yourself. And I think a lot of people underestimate that.
Yeah.
So I love how both of you do that. And yeah, I think that's it from my end, from my questions. Did you guys have any questions for me or anything you guys want to talk about or anything at all?
How are you?
Me,
Yeah.
I'm awesome, bro. I'm blessed, man. I'm actually very blessed. Well, actually, after this, I'll be going to the podcast cartel warehouse in Rowville.
Mhm.
So I'm going to be in the area. So I don't know if that's far from you guys in
Yeah.
Rowville. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, it's right over there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just
Can you see where I'm pointing?
just right over there,
Okay.
mate. Right over there.
Okay, so it's
Right over
there.
there.
Okay. Okay. All
Well,
right. But
I did have a little question for you, Mr. Labzy.
yeah, of course. Go ahead.
So being someone that's interviewed a lot of artists and
Yes.
been in the scene, and I can see that you get around to a lot of the events, which is awesome. What would you say, in your opinion, is missing from the Melbourne scene to make it what it could be?
I've noticed in my time of bumping into a lot of artists, getting to know a lot of artists, I've realized that I don't know. I just feel like a lot of them are in their own heads. To
Hmm.
be honest with you, I feel like they're all like they have the potential of being so great, like really be so great. Like they have the ability to become mainstream if they want to. I mean, some people prefer to be underground, which is fine, but I don't know. I feel like I don't think anything is really missing. I really think we are on our way.
Hmm.
I think because again we are now living in a time where we have the opportunity to just really grow slowly, slowly, right? Because again, like Melbourne is starting to really grow. It really has. Especially thank you to of also if we shout out to Breaking Bread, they are the best example, and also Get Down events as
Hmm.
well. Shout out to Get Down events as well. Them two are a great example on Melbourne is growing with artists, and I think we're still getting used to, you know, learning from like getting involved in each other's music because I feel like because there's always been my question of like you've got these two people, so say you two individuals that are two artists, they do collab sometimes, but it's like why don't they make an album together? If they're really good together, why hasn't there been an album? And they've known each other for a long time. It's like, well, why hasn't there been an album together?
You thinking of
And
two people specifically right now, or
oh, just even in what the hell?
what
What the hell was that?
Fuck was
I don't
that?
know. I don't know.
in your house,
I
bro?
don't know. That was so random. But anyway, but like,
Otherwise, is going to jump out of the closet right now.
let's hope not.
Nah, it's just me in a costume.
Okay. But I mean, I think we're just growing, to be honest with you. I
Yeah,
think we're really
sure.
just learning on, how do we collab with each other. I think, and also, again, I was mentioning before, like, I think we're all a lot of people are just in their own heads or in their own way because I think that, they have this, I think they have this expectation of they need to be somewhere else instead of here. But it's like, bro, just enjoy the journey, just enjoy. I understand that you want to dream big. There are some artists that are really wanted to just go overseas and blow up there and stuff like that, but they're kind of forgetting the local scene as well.
Mm.
Like there are some artists that are doing that, and I think that they just need a reminder of, while your big hustle, the big path that you're on is going to slow down eventually. It's like, okay, well, that's slowing down. Let's see what the local scene's doing. Let's see what, let's do some ciphers. Let's do some, if there's any, little mini collabs we'll do while the big stuff is on its way, to keep ourselves busy, keep ourselves motivated, keep our brains working, you know? And plus, obviously, there's always going to be politics as well involved, the unnecessary politics, immaturity as well. There's all of that, unfortunately. But I mean, because again, if you look at Get Down events and Breaking Bread, just as he said, because community unity, we need, to be honest, we need more of it, and I
Mm.
think that we are on our way. I think it's just slowly, slowly. I think.
Well, I think it's also important to remember, like, back on touching on what you were just saying, Labsy, about like people just want to dream big and forget about the forget about where they've come, not forget about where they've come from, so to speak, but like they want to sort of push the local scene aside and then just want to make it big and sell out Madison Square Garden. Like, yeah, like who doesn't want to do that? But you also got to remember it is a journey, and like that is the biggest part of it. Like Mike and I have been doing this for over 7 years now, right? And when we first started, like back in 2017 or whatever it was, like I remember we were both like, "Oh, this shouldn't take long." Like that was literally what we said
Yeah.
to each other. "Oh, we're dope. This won't take long." We couldn't have been any more wrong, right? Like because we're still only scratching the surface. But are we mad about it? No, because it's the process, it's the journey. We're not gonna, you're not gonna blow up overnight unless you're like fucking tour, like
But then
but
at the same time,
What you do in your own time is none
yeah.
of our business.
wouldn't you like to know?
But at the same time, and no disrespect to Hawk Tour Girl, but when you blow up so quickly and there's nothing else to back up that success, you get on a platform where that's your claim to fame, and what else is going to come after that? Because people are only going to put people make people famous for so long, and it's the same with music where it's the really the people that are making these artists who are mainstream. If that's what the majority's vibing with, and that's who's going to be mainstream and bump in and all that kind of thing. But then at the end of the day, I agree. There's so many hidden talents and hidden gems in this city that are just completely untapped. We didn't know that there were so many artists out here before we even started
Well,
making music.
yeah,
We
well,
thought we were gonna go right to the top.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's the thing though, because
There we are.
when we did when we did the People's Choice Award, and I think there was 11 other artists. It was already I was like, wow, these are like 11 other people that I had never heard of before, but like that's a lot of people. And then
Mm,
when we started to go to more events, and we started to realize, holy crap, there are so many people doing this, and
yeah.
it is a big school of fish and a big pond. But you know what? As much as we want it to be not we want it to be a competition, and we think, oh, it's a competitive thing, like you want to have competitive
Mm,
nature, like we are touching on before, but like it's so important to network, and it's so important to rise with other people, like with the people that are in your situation, because everyone's just trying to be the best them. And like Get Down events has just said, fame is whatever you want it to be, and people are going to get it regardless. It's facts, you know what I mean? What you define success, sure, follow that, but just because this person defines success as selling out Madison Square Garden doesn't mean my success isn't doing a gig
mm,
somewhere in the inner city. You know what I mean?
100%.
So
Yeah.
it's all on you at the end of the day, and it's up to us as the artists in Melbourne to like help each other rise up and be the best that we can be, because this scene is very special. And you know what's crazy though is like this is just me personally. Like I hate it when people go, "Oh, 2025 is going to be the like this is like this is the year. This is it. This is the big year." Man, it's been the big year every year for every artist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This
Yeah.
scene has been going on way before us and way before like probably heaps of people that are watching this right now. The scene has been going for ages. You know what I mean? So whatever 2025 is going to bring, let's just hope it lifts the scene up and it helps each other, because I think that's what the most important thing is. It's networking. It's what I mean? It's getting to know each other and making Melbourne a very special place when it comes to music.
100%.
Yeah, I agree with that. But it's also, I think it's like a motivation thing because every year is going to be special. I mean, as long as you stay consistent, as long as you're still doing the work, every year is going to be a good year. I think that it's that excitement of it's that step closer. It's that step closer to whatever it is they're trying to achieve at the end of the day. I think that's probably what that means. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Because even for me, like uh, even with this show, like I've been doing this show. This is going to be the sixth year that I've been doing this show, right? And I thought I was going to be in America right now, like building all the connections and all that stuff. But yet here I am still in Melbourne, and the rain's still going off outside. But but it's like again, it's just enjoying that journey and really and the amount of stuff that I've achieved within those 6 years with attending events, understanding a different perspective with Australian hip hop and stuff like that, and really learning a lot of things. And really, as you were saying, Chris, like the mind blowing on how many artists and talent are out here. I didn't even think of it until I obviously joined in the break and bread community. So and then it kind of humbled myself in a way, because we're all on the same journey for greatness, basically, all
Yeah.
of us in some way, shape, or form. And success is also a mindset. Because I
Yeah.
was going to say, at the end of this, I was going to say that my definition of success is different from society's, because society's success does not make any sense. My definition of success is you are doing what you love doing, you are working at it, you're always evolving, you're always, being better, and you're getting results, whether it's minor or major. That is a successful person.
Amen.
So you two
Absolutely.
gentlemen, you are successful people.
I'd
Hey.
go as far as saying live by your own metrics, because if you live by someone else's, you're only going to build resentment in yourself and it'll be unfulfilling. So,
Facts.
yeah.
That's why it's the thing now. It's like fuck the streams, fuck the views. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you make music for you. You make content for yourself. You make content for the people that want to listen and do your thing. You know what I mean? Because if you define your success on how many streams you get on Spotify, how many views you
Yeah.
get on YouTube, whatever, you're never going to be happy. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah. Absolutely. As much as like Labzy, I really appreciate it. I feel successful. I know Mike feels successful. I know you're successful. Anyone listening to this right now, you are successful. And that's true.
Right.
No, I'm being for real right now. I'm being absolutely real. Whatever you do, make sure you feel successful because you are successful. Keep at it.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Anything else you got? Any more questions you got for me?
Probably not safe for the stream, but yeah, we'll text you, my man.
Done. Done deal. But we will wrap it up here, gentlemen. I want to say thank you so much again for having the conversation with me. Did you guys have fun?
Absolutely.
Not really.
Okay.
No.
He's not invited next time. Get out of here.
Nah, I had the best fun. I had the best fun, bro. Damn. Hey, man, you know how to hold it down, Labsy. I really appreciate you, fam.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate the both of you, and yeah, and I'll be waiting for the next song, to be honest with you. So, speaking of that, what are some what's the next project for Black Shades and Arrogance? What are we to expect
That's a secret.
next?
That's a secret. We've been lucky enough to actually work on some collabs actually at the moment. So we're working with two special bands right now. One being Island Sky with our main man Mike Joseph,
Yeah.
who is a really talented singer. He's been on one of our songs called Lucidity. If you haven't heard it, listen to Lucidity. Don't listen about us, so listen to his voice. Like, he is just amazing. So we're working on a song with Island Sky, which we're super excited about. The other band that we're working on is a bit of a left field, but we're working with a band called the Omnific. And the Omnific are basically a super funky band, are full of bass and drums. There's no vocals, so I think this is going to be a first for them, having excuse me, having someone to lay vocals down on their song. So it's definitely something a bit out of left field for us as well, but we feel like it's going to be like a super dope song, and we're just working on those at the moment. And the other stuff you're just gonna have to wait, Labs. All right, don't be so like. Be patient.
Okay.
Be patient. All right.
No,
Be
I
patient.
want it
No, you be
now.
patient. No, everyone
I
else
want it
can ask,
now.
but you put it on. Leave it on.
Leave it on. All right. No, that's awesome, guys, and I'm looking forward to it. And man, I can't wait, and can't wait to see you guys at the next event. If you guys are at the next event, whatever Breaking Bread has, if you guys are coming, whatever, definitely it would always be a pleasure to see you guys, because I love you guys. You guys are great company, to be honest with you. Not gonna lie.
Oh, shucks.
So
Thank you.
no.
Shucks. Oh, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, like, yes, arrogance is in the name, but we like to think we're pretty humble dudes. We want to hang out. We want to talk.
Yeah.
We like having a laugh. So yeah, if you guys see us at any of the events, whether it's Breaking Bread, Get Down, whatever it is, come have a chat with us, man. Like, we're gonna be your best friend for the next 20 minutes.
Hell
Okay,
yeah.
so yeah,
Hell
looking
yeah.
forward to it.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up here, gentlemen. And I want to say again, thank you so much for being on here, and I want everyone that has viewed this episode, please go and support Black Shades and Arrogance. You will learn something. If you like Tech Nine and Eminem, especially with fast rapping, you will love these two individuals, and they are doing amazing things, and they are going to continue to do amazing things. So I want to say thank you, gentlemen, again, and we'll see each other soon. All
Looking
right,
forward to it. Thanks, everyone.
Man,
all
thank you. See
right.
you soon.
See you guys.
Real talk with Labzy, we speaking the truth. From the streets to the booth, giving voice to the groove. No holding back, every combo's the proof. It's the realest in the game, now we raising the roof. Real talk with Labzy, Labzy, Labzy. Real talk with Labzy, Labzy, Labzy. Real talk with Labzy, Labzy, Labzy. Real talk with Labzy.